Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today, I'm still sick if you can't tell. I'm still having quite the ride down here with my sinuses and allergies with the changing weather. But besides that, with update 10.11, we got a couple of bugs. A couple of very big bugs. Like tarantula bugs that have a pretty big impact on the game for the moment. And we're going to go through them today. Two big bugs today. Starting off with probably, well, shoot, you can make a good argument that either one has a massive impact on the game. Starting off with the one that I was made aware of first. Let's go with that. So if you take Survivability Expert, which many a Destroyer player would, because more health is always a good thing, especially on DDs that are open water gunboats that will be receiving a lot of shells in their general direction because you're open water gunboating. If you don't know what open water gunboating is, you go to, well, the open water and use your guns. So you go down a flank that doesn't have a lot of islands, not a lot of island cover for ships to hide behind. You run around like a chicken with your head cut off, shooting at all the DDs and cruisers and battleships that are in your general vicinity, or at least the range of your guns. You would take Survivability Expert on that ship because, again, more health is a good thing. Well, for some reason, somehow, Survivability Expert now is more appropriately titled Death Expert, because somehow it messed up the damage saturation model for all the DDs that take it for the time being. And if you don't know what damage saturation is, it's a mechanic in-game where the game distributes the health of your ship across all of the sections in your ship. So when you receive damage, let's say your bow, when the shell or the torpedo or whatever hits your bow, it's going to do a lot of damage because that portion of your ship has health in it. But over time, as your bow receives more and more and more damage, the amount of health that you can get out of that section of your ship goes down because the health is being removed from that section of your ship. There's also a bit of a visual indication in game. It's when that part of your ship becomes damaged and burnt looking. So that's very useful to DDs that, let's say, the enemy player can only manage to land shots on, let's say, the stern of their ship because of how fast they're moving, like a lot of open water gunboat DDs do. If you keep hitting that section of your ship, it's going to do less and less damage until it gets to basically a minimum amount. And then, sure, if you hit them there enough, it will kill them, but it's going to take them a lot longer to receive enough damage through a damage-saturated section than if you were shooting a full health section. So, Survivability Expert apparently cuts that, in the case of the French DDs, you can see this the most dramatically on them, in half, it seems, or it seems like it's not even working at all. We tested this out in the training room with me playing the Kaba and Emerald in a Marceau, and you can see when I roll up next to the bots Kleber and the Kleber and Marceau, they're exactly the same ship. They're both French. The hull is exactly the same. The only difference is the main battery armament and one or two, I believe, other tiny stats. But the hull and the damage saturation model should be exactly the same for both of these ships. I roll up to the Kleber, and you can see after my first salvo, it is a noticeably lower amount of damage I'm doing to the bow because the French DDs have the special damage saturation model to where they essentially get saturated faster, so it's harder to do full damage to them. That's their gimmick, and they don't get a heal in compensation for that, of course. But when I roll up to Emerald on his Marceau, well, he is running Survivability Expert. It is a vast and noticeable difference between the two DDs, and yeah, that's pretty darn bad, especially for the French DDs, who, again, they depend on that so much to stay alive. So yeah, you can imagine how this would affect a gunboat DD that it really heavily depends upon this. It might not affect something like the Kabarovsk as much because she does have a heal. I mean, it's still going to impact them in a pretty big way. But when it's the French DDs that depend on this gimmick and this mechanic so much for their survival, that's pretty bad. So it's not even worth it really to run Survivability Expert for the time being. Granted, we don't know how long it's going to take for the devs to fix this. They said that they are aware of this bug and the other bug they're investigating the issues at the time, and they'll issue a hot fix and a PSA once they determine what's going on and how they're going to fix it. Next bug, which would explain the question that we were asking yesterday. So apparently also when update 10.11 went live, it made secondary and AA mounts completely invincible. And I mean completely. We tested it quite thoroughly in a training room and then in game. So I don't know. I didn't know how the first one got in. Like with the torpedo aiming bug, you know, we can understand how that one happened because they were messing with the UI and stuff. But with these mechanics, I don't really know because they didn't really do anything with the damage saturation models, to my knowledge, in the last couple of patches. They didn't really do anything with the secondaries either, or the A amounts in this patch. Like they didn't mess with any commander skills or any modules or anything. So anyway, to test this, we took a bunch of battleships into the training room of various nations, and we got 2 Thunderers and a Conqueror, and we just went to town on these battleships, and we did not break a single module when it came to AA modules or secondary modules. None of them got broke on the bot ships at all. You can watch in the couple clips I'll play for you here in the background. They don't even look like they got scuffed after eating 2 Thunderers and a Conqueror's worth of HE, and we all know how well British BB HE is at removing your secondary and AM module. And needless to say, this has a big impact on the game in a couple ways. First off, the Schlieffen. This would explain why the Schlieffen is being perceived as insanely powerful right now, because, yeah, its secondaries are staying alive for far longer than they probably should. Now, German battleships, their secondaries are a lot more survivable in the first place because for some reason the Kriegsmarine was the only nation's navy in game that bothered to apparently armor their secondaries. And yeah, if you're eating salvos and salvos and salvos of HE, the German secondaries with the module and commander skill will survive for a lot longer, but they will go down. They will go down under sustained fire. It happens all the time when I play GK and other German battleships because they're targets for HE spam. But not going down at all in the game. So having all those secondaries on the GK and the Schlieffen just survive the entire round at full power, that would explain it. Because Schlieffen's got a lot of secondaries, but they're all over the ship. And one would expect during the course of a match they would be broken. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. Well, maybe all of them if you're being focused down by a Thunderer or a Conqueror. But yeah, having those alive, yeah. Now, AA. I actually feel bad for CV players right now because all the AA on all the ships in game is staying fully intact for the entire round, which sucks because the way CVs and A are supposed to work, they're both kind of supposed to be whittled down at almost the same, well, not the same rate, but at a similar rate as the match goes on. You know, the CV is supposed to lose planes, but by that time too, the other teams ships, their A amounts, at least some of them should be broken unless the ship has never gone into combat or anything like that. Maybe like a Yami or something in the back of the map. But you know, there's supposed to be a reduction in AA as the match goes on. It's not happening now at all. Even the Kremlin, go back to the footage that we played beforehand with us blasting the Kremlin. Kremlin's AA is made out of like popsicle sticks, and it didn't lose a single AA mount. I even got in my Schlieffen and had our guinea pigs. I guess I was actually the guinea pig in the situation. I had our previously test ships shoot at me in the Schlieffen and the GK, and sure enough, I never lost a secondary mount in any of these testings. And then when I was playing the Schlieffen I'm absolutely loving the Schlieffen right now. That's probably why you've seen it in the background footage for the past 2 or 3 days. I didn't lose a single secondary mount in any of these games that I was playing in the background right now. At all. So yeah, I don't know how this worked. Coding is very finicky. You can adjust one thing and it can cause stuff like this to happen. It is, I can see how they can miss this in testing because you don't really pay too much attention to your secondaries or your AA until it drops a noticeable amount in battle. And I mean, we've all been there, right? Like, you pop around the corner, you're in a secondary battleship or something, you expect to see this wall of secondaries dispersed toward your enemy team, but then you see like one turret starts moving, like, oh god, my secondaries are all gone now. But this is a major thing that needs to be patched as soon as possible. It's not like before with the torpedo aiming bug where you could still compensate for it. This is a major game mechanic that needs to be fixed. It's nice for German battleship mains that, you know, German battleship secondaries are unstoppable now at this point, and it's nice for players that don't like CVs, because now your AA will never die until they fix this patch. So until they fix this bug, until they patch it out. So yeah, that's going on in the game right now, and I just gotta say, wow, it sure is something, ain't it, boys? So just take this information, do with it what you will. Maybe if you want to take out your German ships now, knowing that 1, your secondaries can't die, 2, your AA ships, their AA can't die. So now the CVs won't have as easy as a time beforehand when they come to bully you. So yeah, just let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Like I said, the devs have stated that they are aware of this issue. They're investigating and seeing what exactly is causing the problem. They will release a statement and an update on how they're going to fix it once they find out what the problem is, which, yeah, you got to find out what went wrong before you can fix it in the first place. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're already at 35,000 subs. We just passed 31,400 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.